Why I left VShojo by Ironmouse.
I am leaving VShojo. Unfortunately, I recently found out that for the past couple of months, I have been misled by VShojo. With the information that I currently have, I believe that I am owed a significant amount of funds, which I have not been paid. And most importantly, the thing that hurts me the most is that the Immune Deficiency Foundation, which is the most important charity to me, and also the reason why I'm here today, is owed over $500,000 from VShojo.
That is, I don't know why Firefox does this. If there's things around the edges. I don't know why it doesn't go complete full screen sometimes. So notice her language here, though. Her language is that she believes her language is very much. This is very much from a legal lens, in my opinion, in my subjective dingus opinion. Not saying that there's a legal battle here. I'm not saying that lawyers are going back and forth, but the language is very accusatory, even if we go on the understanding of the information being 100% true. So just right out the gate, wanting to clarify the language is there for a reason, because if Ironmouse didn't use this language, that could potentially open her up to litigation by VShojo. Because it's very weird, right? Like, if I was to allege that an employer I worked for did something versus, well, they did do something, right? There's different language there, and if I'm directly accusing them, saying this for a fact happened, and they're able to prove that it didn't happen, that's a whole legal battle that in itself. However, as chat's correct, $500,000 not paid to the charity. If the charity can confirm that that's not paid out, and it is on VShojo's end, that is very, I'm going to use the word damning.
I know that this is a lot, and it's very important for me to be honest with all of you. I really want to tell you everything, but unfortunately right now, I have been instructed by my attorney.
Yep, okay, now there's legal.
To wait for more of the legal procedure to unfold. So one day, I will be able to tell you the full story. But for now,
and that's the thing. The internet needs to respect this, right? It's like we talk about NDAs, talk about OPSEC and military stuff. Well, NDAs and OPSEC can go hand in hand with the military. There are things that you're not going to be able to talk about. They're just not. Like, and that's not going to be, Mouse is at fault. She's just protecting. No, like, let the screechers, let the individuals, right? At the end of the day, we have to look at this through the lens of legal proceedings. We have to let this progress. We have to let this take its course. And at the end of the day, there could be a settlement and nothing could come from this, right? Right now, we cannot speculate. It is very inappropriate to speculate. We have to go with the information that we're given. We have to come to our own educated conclusions on the matter, but speculation does nothing but harm here.
I just need to let you know that I will no longer be a part of VShojo. If you give me a moment of your time, I just want to tell you a little bit about myself. I know for a lot of people right now that this might be the first time you were ever watching me. I became a VTuber because I really wanted to make friends. I was very lonely due to the fact that I have a primary immune deficiency disease called CVID. I basically have a low to near non-functioning immune system, which means I get sick a lot, and it caused me to remain isolated for long periods of my life. So then I found streaming, and I thought about giving it a try because I wanted to see if I could make some friends online, because I honestly couldn't ever leave my room. I never really expected to grow an audience or anything. It was one of the last things on my mind. I just thought that I would stream to, 5 to 10 people and just hang out from time to time, make some friends, play games, and just continue on with my life. But unfortunately, I was too scared to stream with my face. So a friend of mine recommended that I try an app called FaceRig that would allow me to use an anime avatar to stream. And that's how I started VTubing. It took me a while to take it seriously and even begin to think about maybe being able to grow a community and even make this a career. I think I really started to take it seriously around the time when I was approached to join VShojo. And it was through VShojo that I was able to grow into the Ironmouse that I am today. When I was approached in 2020 and asked to join VShojo, it seemed like a good idea, but I honestly did not know if I could ever be a corporal VTuber because I felt like I just couldn't. In my mind, I saw myself as unhireable, which is why streaming worked for me. I had no boss, no strict rules, I had no hours, no expectations. It was all up to me, and due to the fact that I have lived my life chronically ill and being unable to do much of anything, I just felt like there was no way that anyone would ever take me or want me. For a while, I was struggling to make a decision because I was afraid about my anonymity and afraid about trusting people.
That's the big one, though, right? And this is why when I looked at the YouTube terms of service fairly recently, the quote-unquote updated terms of service that went live on the 15th, that, like, the anonymity is such a big selling point in an era where we literally have Sniper Wolf showing up to Jack's Film's home and nothing happens, right? Now, obviously, at that point, it does come down to, well, technically, her main channel was demonetized or her monetization was restricted in some capacity. Did she not, by definition, quote-unquote, ban evade by uploading it to her second channel at that point, right? Like, imagine if, I don't know, I, as John Kip, were to show up to Ironmouse's door, wherever that may be, right? It's going to be a pretty big deal, okay? Normal people don't do that, okay? See, in the real world, when people do that, right, like, bad things have happened, right? We take our anonymity very seriously, right? So if I'm forced to face reveal, sure, I'll face reveal. I'll break that immersion super hard. I will monetize my ugly mug so quick it's not even funny, right? And we can joke about that, right? But the anonymity is super important because not necessarily that the world's a scary place, but like that security is so important for people. So when we have things where you must use your real face or we must do this, right? And, you know, people can go, oh, yeah, get these. I've had people call me an AI generated whatever. And I'm just like, bro, I don't understand it, bro. AI will struggle to copy my manners. Let's put it that way. I am too neurodivergent, too neurospicy for AI to correctly emulate me. And it's really funny. But like, I think Ironmouse here encapsulates the soul of why many people, me included, got into VTubing, because we don't want to show our face. I personally don't feel super photo hygienic. I'm sure I could touch my stuff up, touch my hair up, etc., and be fine on camera, right? But there's so many issues with putting your face out there, especially when you start getting some people looking at you. It's not everyone. It is the few choice people who take things to the umpteenth degree, who take it way too far, and are ultimately weird about it, right? Parasocialism isn't bad. It's bad when people take it way too far, okay? I don't need somebody at my door. I don't need somebody at my parents' door. I don't need somebody to come up and be like, hey. Like, don't get me wrong, if I show up to like a game shop, right? I show up to a Yu-Gi-Oh event, I show up to a Pokemon event or whatever, and someone happens to recognize my voice, you got me for all intents and purposes, right? Like, whatever. Just don't, and that's the thing. Sure, there may be a back and forth. Don't be weird about it. But Ironmouse looking at the VTubing community in a way to look at friends, to look for friends, to build that community, and to just be genuine, I feel is the main reason many of us got into it. Like, I've said a number of times where I liked how progressive VTubing was. I liked how self-expression was king, right? Like, I'm sure Ironmouse could cosplay her as she presents on stream, absolutely. But it's much easier to have an artist be able to tweak models, tweak rigging, etc., than to do certain things physically, right? Other commentaries about cosplay there aside. And I think that's why when things like Cinder VTuber happen, because she's planning a return. I disagree with it personally. I have no relation to Cinder. I have no interaction with her. But she foobarred me. She like that her entire interaction and how badly she mistreated people has, for all intents and purposes, foobarred my view of the VTubing community. And we even see a number of people who allegedly, of course, not that this does happen, right? Who leave the corpo positions and then they debut as a new VTuber. Personally, I have not watched a single VTuber who has allegedly been with a corpo and then had a quote unquote debut as a new VTuber. Just something about it doesn't quite hit home with me. I don't know. I think it's very interesting. I think I view it from more of a Hollywood lens, right? Where you as John Hollywood or Jane Hollywood act and then you do something and then other companies won't hire you, right? Because you did the thing. Dude, I'm getting way off the rails on this one. I'm sorry. But I think that the fact that she's genuine does play a large part in this.
Because I felt like every time I put my trust in people, it always ends in grief for me. Mm-hmm. So I was worried about expectations and 1,000,001 other things. But I ultimately decided to join VShojo. It really pains me that I am unable to fully explain why I am leaving. But for right now, here's what I am allowed to share with you.
Sure.
I would always be told how important I was for the company. And I was always told that I was needed in order for the company to succeed.
Yeah.
Although that was very positive to hear, it put a lot of pressure and a lot of stress on me to the point where I felt guilt-tripped into signing. I felt responsible for everybody.
So what's being proposed here is signing contracts under duress. That's an interesting tactic. So here's the thing, right? I, as a 30-year-old boomer, right? If a company said that to me, I view it no different as the company saying, but Kip, we're a family here. You know what you can do with your family rhetoric? Okay, you can shove it where the sun don't shine. I have had too many workplaces say, we're a family. And there's a number of comments that can point out why that's bad or how that goes wrong. And you're the one left holding the bill. You're the one left holding reprimands, punishments, higher expectations when you have John or Jane 3 cubicles over or across the room who doesn't do their job. But they're a family, and we need to be accepting of family. If that is the rhetoric that they are using, if on understanding that VShojo has engaged in any way, shape, or form the rhetoric of you're important and we need you, their credibility has zero-summed for me. Because at least from my boomer experience in the workplace, and I'm sure many of yours as well, the moment you hear that rhetoric, you know that job is not going to care about you. That but you're also going to get passed up for promotions, right? Because they know you will get the job done. Despite John or Jane, 3 cubicles over across the room, not knowing their left foot from the right foot and getting promoted because they need to be watched, right? Happens all the time. So that definitely rubs me the wrong way.
I felt responsible for staff and talent alike. And I felt like if I didn't do this and if I didn't stay, I was hurting everybody and I was destroying everybody's life. But this didn't feel right with me, and I began to feel extremely uncomfortable. As my viewers know, privacy has always been one of my biggest concerns. I've had a lot of scary experiences in my life, so one amazing thing for me was the fact that VShojo handled all my payments, and it meant that I never had to give out any of my personal information, so that was always a blessing to me. As time went on, I decided that I wanted to try to start pulling out my remaining funds because I wanted to start taking over my own finances. This is what led me to this point. Throughout the years, Connor and I have raised around $4 million for the Immune Deficiency Foundation.
Honestly, based good on both of them. Absolutely based.
The majority of the money raised is through Tiltify at events like the cyclothon, the charity auction, and other miscellaneous events that we've had. However, because of the success of my first subathon, I decided to donate half the earnings of my following 2 subathons to the Immune Deficiency Foundation. The first time I tried this, it worked great. Over 200,000 people supported me, and because of that, we raised over $329,350 to the Immune Deficiency Foundation. Because the money came from my Twitch revenue instead of a Tiltify link, it required VShojo to make the donation on my behalf.
Oh no. There is a point. So first off, I think it's easy for people, and there are going to be people who are going to come out and say, well, Mouse should have known. Ironmouse should have seen these flags coming. Ironmouse should have had more independence. I think that's the wrong takeaway here. I think that is also incredibly inappropriate to propose, right? Like, sure, if you, chat member, commenter, or I, with our collective work experience, fell into something like this, sure, it's going to be awful, right? But collectively, you know, especially if we talk to each other, there's kind of the understanding that, yo, we're getting screwed over by a company, right? We're getting screwed over by our employer. But in context, reasonably, rationally, does Ironmouse necessarily have the tools to work through that, especially if VShojo, allegedly engaging in these manipulative behaviors, is, you know, effectively having her sign things under duress? It sounds like she doesn't have complete control over finances as well. May I remind you, financial abuse is a thing. Now, for the obvious legal purposes, obviously this is a different discussion in terms of financial abuse. This is not a allegation, nor is it a definitive VShojo has engaged in financial abuse. What I can say in the world of relationship talks that we've had, right, which business in itself is its own form of relationships, financial abuse and financial dependency are absolutely things that are taken into consideration. And as somebody who worked in finance, as somebody who has had to direct people to branches in regards to domestic disputes such as divorce, people looking at people joint accounts, financial abuse is a very, very real thing. And I hope, for VShojo's sake, they have not engaged in any sort of financial abuse, definitely not, or financial fraud in any way, shape, or form by not giving the proper funds to the proper individuals. I hope VShojo has not engaged in any of this.
They promptly sent the payment, and the subathon was a huge success, so I decided to do it again the next year. My last subathon was one of the biggest events I've ever done. The support was overwhelming, and I ended up getting over 300,000 subscribers and breaking the all-time sub record.
Which was cool.
But this also meant that we had raised $515,000 for the Immune Deficiency Foundation. I once again asked VShojo to make the donation on my behalf, but unfortunately, still a year later, VShojo has not paid the charity. The Immune Deficiency...
I'm assuming with the language used here, I'm assuming this is an undisputed fact. I'm assuming that because she is being advised legally, I'm assuming that because this is being said, this is a verifiable fact. On the understanding that this is a verifiable fact, dude, come on, dude. Like, what comes to mind is the completionist, right? Like Gerard Khalil, right? When was the last time you heard an update about that, right? Like, this is also why I haven't done a donathon or like a charity stream, because I am petrified. I am absolutely terrified that something is going to go wrong. I am terrified that something, somewhere, some way, someone is not going to get paid what they're due. And obviously that comes back and reflects negatively on me, as not just necessarily as a brand, but as an individual, right? Like, it's not that I don't want to do things. It's that, one, I don't think I necessarily have the size to make the impact that I want to. But two, like, this is a very real concern of Ironmouse did the thing. She did the subathon. She did the thing. But the funds clearly haven't gone where they need to. And the unfortunate thing is that there's going to be circles on the internet that are going to continue, and they're going to go blame Ironmouse for this. Well, technically, you know, this is your brand and you should have more control over it, is the rhetoric that's going to be posited, right? Once again, I feel we disarm this very easily with, sure, in hindsight, yeah, having more control of your finances would ideally be a thing, right? However, with understanding of Ironmouse's situation, which she literally opened up with, and there's more information as well on the internet that I'm sure you could glean, like, this doesn't, especially on the understanding that she would allegedly be under duress making certain, like, signatures and stuff, like signing certain things. This situation goes foobar really quick. Like, this is actually foobar.
The foundation means the world to me. Connor and I have both spent a ton of energy, time, and resources raising money for charity. And we're both so proud to be able to say that we've raised nearly $4 million for charity. We almost always raise money for the Immune Deficiency Foundation. They help people with primary immune deficiency diseases, or PI, which are inherited disorders where a part of the body's immune system is missing or doesn't function properly, which makes people like me more prone to infection. And this includes over 450 different conditions. The Immune Deficiency Foundation is a charity that is near and dear to my heart and has a particular significance in my life. When my health first started getting really bad, the Immune Deficiency Foundation helped me immensely when I really had nowhere else to turn. I was terrified, I was lonely, and I was confused. I honestly didn't really know what was going on, and I never ever want anyone else to go through that. This entire situation has broken me. I just wanted to do something good and to give back to a community that helped me. But unfortunately, that's not the case.
This is surreal, dude. Like, this is why I don't want to use the word fall. I think that's the incorrect right here. This is why good creators break. And not saying that Ironmouse is going to, become, strictly other Clan B status. Ironmouse is going to become, this awful person. No, it's not what I'm trying to insinuate by any means. The fact that this happens is why good people begin to view the world from a very nihilistic lens. Like, there's only so much you can take from a person, and there's only so much you can do to a person before they ultimately just reasonably have to close themselves off. And I think we've all seen it, right? We've all seen creators who used to be a lot more open. Maybe they were a lot more talkative. I remember an era where, I don't know, I think Vinny Vinesauce has remained very consistent throughout the years. But there was a period of time where there were some allegations, as far as I'm aware, since proven incredibly incorrect and untrue, thrown against Vinny Vinesauce. And he stopped streaming for a hot minute. And it's not right. And, that's where we get into the world isn't fair. It needs to be more fair. I think we can all agree that the world isn't fair and the world sucks in some capacity. But we need to really come together and just say that it needs to be more fair. That stuff like this needs to not happen, because at the end of the day, if you don't care, right? Point in case, Cinder Vtuber. If you don't care, you're just going to come back. You're going to come back and do the things and ultimately be unaffected, right? Somewhere like Pirate Software, who can double down time and time and time and time again. Ultimately just still has to double down time and time and time and time again. Put a ban counter as a kind of trophy accolade on his literal stream, right? Like, if you don't care, ultimately you're unaffected. We could even go so far as the extremes of Sniper Wolf, Doxing Jack's Films, I Show Speed, literally showing his willy on a YouTube stream to children and ultimately not really seeing any sort of punishment. We can look at Logal Paul, making sure I'm using his lawyer's correct name for him, right? Logo, Logal, making sure I'm being precise about that. Doing everything he's done and ultimately just still, for some reason, getting pushed and monetized, right? The world needs to be more fair. And especially if it is targeted against people who are being genuine, we need to really crack back harder, right? That self-policing kind of thing, right? Where sure, someone via a tweet isn't necessarily breaking a platform's policy, but you hold them accountable for, harassing someone else, right? Like, hey, this is pretty not okay. I think that communicating with each other will restore some facet of just basic empathy and sympathy. Especially in an age of AI, I feel that talking to each other is more important than ever. And this would also help in situations like this, where Ironmouse might not have necessarily the specialization. That's not a dig at her. Just contextually, she might not have the understanding to how certain companies will operate and companies will work, but you're important to us. You're a family to us, and then thus feeling potentially, allegedly, obligated to sign under duress, right? This situation is so FUBAR, and that really is the word that comes to mind, or the acronym. This is so FUBAR.
Much as I would like to continue to talk about this, unfortunately, I can't.
No.
So, to recap, I believe that I am owed a significant amount of funds, which I have not been paid. Mm-hmm. And most importantly, the Immune Deficiency Foundation is owed over $500,000 from VShojo. I really wish that I could tell you more, but right now, I have been advised to wait for legal proceedings. As of right now, I am an independent VTuber. I am at a loss of what to do right now. I'm kind of processing everything. I'm very sad and very confused. Once again, I want to apologize to the Immune Deficiency Foundation and to my community who has shown so much support to me. I also wanted to say that all the ad money made from this video will go towards the Immune Deficiency Foundation. I honestly don't know what I'm going to do. Like I said, I really haven't had much time to process this. But below the video in the description box is a link to a donation fund for the Immune Deficiency Foundation. Thankfully, any donations made through Tiltify go directly to the charity. That link is also there if you've heard about this and would like to support the Immune Deficiency Foundation. Sometime this month, I plan on doing a special live stream in order to raise money for the Immune Deficiency Foundation. I hope to have a ton of friends joining me, and hopefully there'll be a lot of singing and a lot of fun and just a day full of happiness. I just honestly really want to show that after all of this, that VTubing is a force for good. So thank you guys so much for all the support, and thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. And once again, I want to say that I am truly sorry. Okay. Bye-bye.
I don't even think she necessarily should feel obligated to apologize. I think it speaks more to her integrity and character than many other people compare her apology to Cinder VTuber's apology. For full transparency, this video will not be monetized. There will be ads on it, of course, because even if a video or channel is not monetized, YouTube will still place ads on things. However, anyone with a browser extension who can view monetization status, I implore you, feel free to double check, triple check even. This video will not be monetized, as I think that it would take away from the core point. And I think at the end of the day, it is profiting off of a situation that is already pretty FUBAR. That being said, come to your own educated conclusion how you feel about others monetizing this. At the end of the day, they're taking the time out of their day to talk about it, taking the time to edit pieces about it. I would not personally feel correct or right, proper even, in monetizing this in any way, shape, or form. But come to your own educated conclusion on that. I'm sorry you're having to go through this, Ironmouse, from my own small corner of the internet. I think that this is pretty bad. And, you know, along with the other things, I'm currently, I follow a lot of lawsuits. Mr. Beast, I follow lawsuits there. Following his and Finster's interactions with Ava Chris Tyson. Following the Logan Paul situations. I'm following Pocket Pair versus Power World. Nintendo v Power World, right? I'm following a CoffeeZilla, right? But that's Logan Paul. I'm following a bunch of legal cases. This is another that I'm going to be following with great interest because I think that this needs to get resolved. I'm very curious what their statement will be. I'm sure VShojo in the first 24 hours, or more likely 48 hours, as this is a Monday going into the week, will have some sort of response. I'd be surprised if within 48 hours they have not had a response, if not when we're reacting to this video. Come to an educated conclusion. Remember to look at this through a lens of it's okay to be frustrated, but we need to make sure that we're doing this correctly. We need to make sure that we are looking at this through the lens of speculation can be incredibly harmful. And we need to look at this through the lens of she didn't have to apologize. She's shown more integrity, maturity, and wisdom than many other VTubers that I've seen, many other people in general that I've seen. And that speaks volumes. But thank you for watching. Come to your uneducated conclusion. And I'll see you in the next one. Wishing you the best, Ironmouse.